Okay, my friends. Hello, hello, can you all hear me? Welcome to the Saturday morning live stream here at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters in Zone 5B 6A, Northern Indiana. It is bright and sunny today, which is really out of the ordinary for this winter. It has been overcast, I would say 9 out of 10 days, which is not a big problem. I don't mind overcast. In fact, I kind of prefer it, especially during the summertime, because my skin is not doesn't do all that well with the sun. So, got a number of things to talk about today, guys, because we got seed starting happening. I got a number of questions from you guys. I've got some questions about soil remediation and things like that we're going to be answering. So let's get ready and get into it. And this Jenny is going to be showing up before too long, so maybe she'll be able to pop in and say hello. But we are going to a Viking festival immediately following the live stream. It is in Charlotte, Michigan, about an hour and 20 minutes away from here, give or take. So that should be cool. I want to see if they got a helmet. I know the Vikings didn't wear horned helmets, but it would be good for the camera. You know, it'd be good for content. So, yes, we are going to be doing that. All right. Hello, guys. Hello, Pam. Says, Nate, have you heard about electroculture gardening? My sister sent me a video on Tuesday. I have never heard of it before. Using copper wire antennas to your grow your veg and fruit trees, etc. Yes, I have heard all about it, and I've researched it and the concept and everything like that. And the concept, things like that is for me, it's just like, why? Why, though? Because the plant root already is the conductor, and it's already negatively charged and attracting all the things that it needs to attract from the soil. So the evolution of things didn't include copper wires and electro currents going through it. You know what I mean? So although I'm sure people get great results with that, okay? I'm sure that they do, and that this is nothing against anyone that wants to try electroculture, because it sounds very intriguing, and maybe you could get incredible, some results with that. But at the same time, it just it's not necessary, because if you have a thriving soil food web and you have vibrant life and activity in nutrient-rich soil, then the natural processes of things without the additional electrical current, is going to absolutely take care of everything that you will need. So, and Stone Creek says, yes, that's why we have lightning. Yes, very much so. You will notice, guys, around here at least, when the springtime comes and the grass doesn't really start growing until we get our first thunderstorm. After the first thunder and lightning storm, then the grass gets green and starts growing real heavily. I've noticed this over the years. So definitely there is something to be said about, well, I mean, obviously the electrical current through plants and with the ground. But I just don't feel that needs any additional artificial electrical current of any kind. Because you can get plants that are thriving just by having a good soil food web and active life in the soil and creating a habitat that is conducive to the microorganisms. And that's important. That's most important. Let's see. Roverino says lightning makes nitrogen that is plant available. Yes, I am only beginning to learn about that, but it makes sense. Edward says, hi, Nate. Hello from Chicago in Zone 5B. All right. I'm about 3 hours east of you. Okay. Austin says, do you have any book recommendations on learning how the soil food web works? There's a number of different books that you can read. Definitely the Teaming with Microbes, by Jeff Lowenfeld, I think is his name. Also, the Teaming with Nutrients, that is a really good book. Those are kind of, scientific-y and stuff like that. But also, many of the videos on this channel can explain that to you guys. And I can't off the top of my head. I forget the names of the books. But yeah, those are two good ones to start with. And let's see. Cool Sense says, greetings from rainy Southern California. Rainy Southern California, that's nice. Hello, Diamitri Saraswati. Good to see you here. Early morning for you. Lori says, good morning from Utah. Under 2 feet of new snow. Wow. What elevation are you at in Utah? Hello, Paulina. Jason Knight says, I used to have my containers on pallets. I've put them on the ground this year. Absolutely, yes. The plants want the ground. They really do. Because they need the ions from the earth, and they need the groundingness of the earth. Think of a lightning rod, how it's grounded, and it grounds the whole house. And so the plants do that on levels, and they need that. It's part of the exchange of nutrients and energies and all of that. And so when we isolate them in pots and containers off the ground, they're really on the struggle, because in nature they would never grow like that. They would never really grow in some, except for rare circumstances, maybe in the jungle or in the crack of a rocks or something. Plants would not be growing like that. And so they want the earth. They want to spread their roots out. That's why the half barrels and things like that, they can work for certain plants, salad greens and stuff like that. But man, if you're talking about really growing stuff like sweet potatoes and all kinds of good nutrient-rich produce, they want the earth, because it's more than just room for the roots. It's also the energy and the information that is coming from the exchange between the earth and the sky, like this. Trish says, we need grounding to Gaia, so it makes sense plants would also. Yes, absolutely. Marcel says, today is a good day. That is correct. Laura, hello from West Midlands. Where is that? No Way says, also, can't we take your onion off the heat mat when they have sprouted 2 to 3 inches? You can, yes. After the onions have sprouted, if you need that real estate on your heat mat, you can take those off, yes. They will continue growing faster, though. If you leave them on the heat mat in the high 70s, they will continue growing faster, though. So if you're just now getting to sprout your onions and you're a little bit late to the game, go ahead and put them on the heat mat and keep them there the whole time. Okay, that's important. Hello, Megan says, hello from Wisconsin. Your tips on onions are working so well. SOW, so well. They have such thick stems. So happy with their progress. Nice, good to hear that. Yeah, I just the other day planted some of these Australian browns, and they are starting to come up real nice dark green. I like to do this whenever I can, whenever I walk by them, because, and this is something that I didn't get the chance to say in the onion video, and I'm sorry, but I just can't, it's hard to think of every little detail for every single video. But I keep the onions trimmed to about 5 inches. So I'm going to let them get about 6 or 7 inches at this point, and then I'm going to cut them back to 5 inches. And then we're going to let them grow to about 6 inches again, cut them again. And I keep them sort of trimmed to about 5 inches, because you will see, if you do a side-by-side experiment, let one container just grow and grow and grow, and they'll be like a foot long and super spindly by the time you go to plant them out. Or if you keep one of them trimmed to about 5 inches, the ones that are trimmed are going to be much thicker. And that's what we want. We want that stoutness, because they don't need that length. Otherwise, they're going to flop over when they go outside, and we don't want them to be all set. We want them to be nice and stout, and that's important. So you see, even at the bottom of this container, see, they're already starting to come out, growing all the way out of this. Yes, I sometimes use these kind of containers if I have, just, based upon certain things, but yes, I do use these deep containers sometimes, and they work really well as well. Also, the flat containers work well. You guys will see onion roots they're very thick, actually, compared to most other plant roots. They're really thick, and they're easy to separate. That's the thing. That even though there's 100 onions in here, it doesn't matter. When I go to plant them, they'll be nice and stout. I'll pull this whole thing out, or I'll tip it upside down and just shake them apart, and they will come apart really easily. And you'll have all the roots. It'll look like spaghetti. And then we'll just plant that. But when you go to plant the onions, guys, you want to make sure you do not plant them too deeply. This is #1 mistake when planting the onions. The bulb part has to be above the ground, okay? We never cover the bulb part. It wants to just have the roots in the ground, but the bulb wants to rest on top of the ground, basically. So I'll make a video. I'll show you guys how to do that coming up pretty soon. No way. $10. Thank you very much, my friend. First tip of the day. Thank you for helping us grow. Pun intended. Yes, you are very welcome, my friends. Greg says square pots are the best. Yeah, the reason I like the square pots is because I can fit, they fit into these trays pretty well. So I'll fill this whole thing with these trays like that. And I've got a number of different kind of onions and stuff because I experiment around with so many different things, but it doesn't get distilled. That knowledge doesn't get distilled and brought to you guys until I can be sure about something, So I got all kinds of different types of onions and all that stuff, but I only tell you guys what I know works, unless I specifically state, okay, here's an experiment, or here I'm still learning about this or whatever. John Jude, yes, roots are longer than onions tops, and only roots get buried. That's right. Roverino says, thought most plants wanted cool roots. They do. They do want cool roots. What are you talking about? Are you talking about seed starting? Because that's different. But yes, if they want cool roots. Most plants want cool roots. So I've got a number of questions from you guys about things like, okay, I'm going to be growing a melon or I'm going to be growing a squash, but now how should I go about positioning that in the garden? So ideally, you want to position, so like if you're growing in a pot, a melon or any kind of vining plant, a squash, if you're growing it in a pot, you want to try and position it ideally so that the pot or the grow bag, the contractor bag full of compost, so that is actually shaded, but that the plant itself will be in direct sun, because no plant appreciates baking hot roots, and bags and pots, they can get very hot. So do it in such a way that you're either going to have something grow up around the pot, like a fast leafy green or something like that. But you want to make sure that or you can shade it with straw, or you can shade it with more bags or more pots, or put it into the shade so that it can grow into the direct light like that. That also works. But plants do way better with cooler roots. And that is the number one reason why we mulch as well. I'm a huge proponent, of course, of heavy mulch. This is very important because we don't want that sun to just bake down and sterilize the top of the soil and bake out the roots and everything like that. Because Mother Nature never has bare soil. Remember that, never. Unless it's like a temporary thing, like an accident. Roverino says, heat mat on sprouted onions. Most books say to take plants off the heat mat once the first true leaves are out. Well, that depends on what your ambient temperatures are. If your house is 70 or something if the temperature is around 70 or above, then of course it's not a problem. But like where mine are, they would be 50 degrees. My basement is 50 degrees, and it's almost like a root cellar in the sense. And I do it like that on purpose. I shut off all the heat and everything like that so that it's cool and moist, kind of moist. About 60%, 50% humidity, 60%. And that would just not work. I mean, they would grow so slowly that it would be like, okay, I'd be sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. But so I will sprout them on the 78 to 80 degree heat mat. And then once they are about this tall, then yes, I will take them off the heat mat because I want to use it for other stuff. And I will put them just on another rack. But the inside of the grow tent is 70 degrees, 75 degrees sometimes. And so that is why it works, okay? That is why it works. So, but that's not gonna stunt them at all. If you just leave them on there, they'll just grow faster, okay? And let's see here. Ms. T, hello, my friend. She says, greetings, mi amigo. Always high vibrations and strong positive energy to you and fellow food growers. Got my ginger planted, my pineapple plant planted. That's right, you're in the South, so you can do that. And fish fertilizer brewing. Working on more next week. Thank you. Yes, you're very welcome, my friend. Glad you got the fish fertilizer brewing. The plants, really, if you only make, that would be one of the top two fertilizers to make. The top one is, of course, just the standard grass, wild grass, or greens, wheatgrass or hay or whatever it is. in the Jadam style, that is the good all-around one. But I would say equally as good, or the next best one, is the fish fertilizer. And in fact, if you're only going to make one, I would almost recommend the fish fertilizer because it's just so good. The soil loves it. The plants love it. Just everything loves it. Okay. Bara Plunket. Hello. She says, yay, I made the live stream. Let's see. Stone Creek says, Mad Dog has a question about making biochar at the same time as making JMS. Does he? Let's see. Where is the Mad Dog? Okay. Well, I don't see it, but okay. I get it. Now, biochar, guys, and JMS. So, yes, you want to inoculate the biochar with the JMS. Absolutely. But you don't add it. You don't add the biochar into the JMS because you have to be able to tell when it's at its peak. And don't go just by time, even though on my videos you'll see I'll list the time, but it's not always the same. So you only go by look because you can tell exactly when they're at its peak, when all the vibrant foam is, I mean, you can see the bubbles are popping at its peak. And that's right when you want to use it. So what you're going to do then is take your container of biochar, take the JMS, and pour that into the biochar to fully submerge it. And then you want to add some kind of food for them. So like the fish fertilizer. If you can add some of the fish fertilizer in there with that, that's going to be the ideal setup. And let that sit for about 24 hours, give or take, so it's nice and saturated, and then add it out. Okay? So that's what I would do first with the biochar. Okay? And let's see. Can you use Chia Pet to start plant for chia seeds? Chia Pet? Yeah, sure. Let's see. Diametri says, we have our fish fertilizer brewing too. We've done our first JMS and have the second brewing. Nice. Good job. Whoa, hot. Good job. So let's see. Hello from Virginia Beach. Hello, Gardening and Clay. I wouldn't drink any mold at all. Haha. Gabe. Let's see. What do you mean about drinking mold? Bush beans are good companions to shade the soil and keep roots cool, plus nitrogen fixers that help feed the other plants too. Yes, absolutely. And they grow really fast. So Megan says the bush beans are great companions because they shade the soil. That's very true. You can also plant quick growing things like Swiss chard. The advantage of Swiss chard for shading the bags and pots over the beans is that the Swiss chard will grow and then stay all summer long, all summer. Whereas the bush beans have a life cycle. They will set the beans and then they will die before long. So you would have to plant in succession if the goal was to shade out the bags. But if you wanted to just plant something that will shade out the bags, do African marigolds, or because they repel pests. So if you had a line of the contractor bag, if you had like a line of the contractor bag pots, or any kind of pots, cloth pots, any kind, then you could put them all in a line like that. And then on both sides, or on the sun side, whatever it is, you could plant marigolds or Swiss chard, or do a marigold and a Swiss chard, a marigold and a Swiss chard, or a marigold and a collard green, something like that. And that would be a really good setup because then you would have your potatoes or whatever you're growing in the bags, sweet potatoes or Irish potatoes in the bags, but then you would also have the pest repellent marigolds on the outside and the food producing, shade producing Swiss chard as well. So that's a really good setup. Ms. T, $9.99. Thank you very much, my friend. Second tip of the day. I appreciate the contribution. So, No Way says, Heat Mat, only got my 5-gallon bucket to 70. I am going today with light bubbles. Is it going to brew up? 70 degrees? Yeah, it can still brew at 70 degrees, although the bubbles will be much smaller. So it's amazing what a few degrees in temperature can do to microorganism brewing. And so you will see that that the difference between 70 degrees and 78 degrees or 82 degrees is enormous. I mean, at 82 degrees, it will look like it's from the dish, from it's like it's been through the washing machine with bubbles, a big froth up top. But at 70 degrees, the same exact setup, same potatoes, same leaf mold is going to give you, still you're going to get that nice ring of microorganisms, but the bubbles are going to be real tiny, and that's okay because that's what the cold weather microbes do. So just expect cooler or smaller bubbles. But keep an eye on it, guys. Until you get accustomed to it, keep an eye on it so that you can tell when it's past its peak. All right, when it's past its peak. Tree Rogi says, has anyone here ever transplanted bamboo plants? I have, yes. Bamboo is very easy to transplant. In fact, I mean, it's like too easy to transplant sometimes. So 8A Gardening says, you should consider doing a $3 a month Patreon and send out a link for a Viking Discord where gardeners can chat and ask questions in a Viking community. Support the Viking. I like that. Yes, yes. I've been hesitant, or not hesitant, but I've just been not doing the Patreon because I don't want to exclude people that can't afford it from acquiring this knowledge. You know what I mean? Because especially after traveling in countries for so long, it's like, you know, $5 is a tremendous amount to some people as opposed to what it would be to us. And so that's what's kept me from doing it, you know, up to this point. And I just figure that because there's the donation link in the description so you can donate to the PayPal or the super thanks and stuff. So I just have confidence that people will contribute to this whole operation here and the more videos and all of that based upon their means, you know. So the people that can, they do, and so far that's been very true, you know. So that's why I haven't done the Patreon, but maybe there's something I can do with that. Yeah. Cause YouTube keeps hitting me up like, hey, you haven't set up your memberships yet. And hey, you haven't set up, you know, this other thing yet. So I don't know. Let's see. That means so much not to choose a Patreon. Thank you. I'm glad that you see my reasoning. No way. You refrain from using the word invasive, but bamboo can be quite engulfing. Be careful. Yes. See, I don't like the word invasive so much, but engulfing and persistent and yeah, uninvited are other things that we can use for that. Uninvited, I think, would be the best one. If you let them, people will close you off to others. What do you mean? Discord for sure, but it's this, but 24/7 and can be free. Okay, I'll have to look that up. Discord. I'm not really familiar with that. Blue Wolf says, that is very nice of you. Knowledge is to be shared, not to be sold. Yes, I agree. I agree. And it's also, you know, just relying on, just trusting that the people with the means, yes, they want to contribute to a worthwhile cause. And that's important. You know, feeling like you're part of something, like you're contributing to something. And yeah, it allows me to experiment and do so many more experiments, which is fantastic. Because before I started this channel, guys, and I was coming out of the mountains, I was just a couple years back from traveling for 10 years. I traveled for 10 years. And then the 7 of those years, I spent 6 months of the year in Northern California and then 6 months traveling, you know, and stuff. So I didn't have, when I came back to this world from all of that, I had zero money, you know, to like spend on anything. And so it was just like, I was getting free pallets from this place and busting them up, using pallet wood to make everything, you know, using just free stuff. That was for like 3 years, you know, up until just last summer when this channel started monetizing and the donations started coming in and all of that. And it's like, oh, okay, now I can experiment a little bit more with certain things that I've been wanting to experiment with, but just when you have zero extra funds, that's, you know, can be limiting. So anyways, I don't know what got me off on that. Wade says, thanks, Nate, for making your knowledge and experience available without trying to make financial reward your main focus. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Yeah. Because a lot of people, a lot of channels, it is, man. That is their only focus. That's the whole reason they're doing it. You know, but me, I want to be doing this anyways, you know, because this is like a mission. You know, we have to bring back this knowledge and we have to show people how possible this is and also show people how our ancestors used to live everyone used to be a farmer. Everyone used to be growing something or directly knew the people that were growing stuff, but now many people, especially in cities, they'll go their whole life without ever like being on a farm or knowing a farmer or anything like that. In the West, it's very different. In Asia and India and stuff like that, it's still, thankfully, it's still very different. And I got to experience that, which is why then when I come back here and it's like, man, guys, we are so divorced from our food supply. It is scary. It is scary because of how delicate that is. If somebody, whoever it is, stops producing your food for you, and it doesn't matter if you have money to pay for it or not, then what are you going to do? You have to do whatever they say so that you can get the food. So that makes you, if you're not, at least don't understand how to grow your own food and practicing that by growing in whatever space possible, then you're leaving yourself open. That's not, you just have to learn these skills, because what happens if the trucks stop coming to the food store and or something happens to the soil or the earth, the land or something like this. So all these things, we just have to, it's like the primary need is food, of course. And so you have to practice these skills, my friend. Dimitri says, I've unsubscribed to channels because they end up only doing for the Patreons. Yeah, I know. I get that too. Sometimes I'll look at channels and I'm like, what do you mean it's membership only or it's Patreon only? But, I understand, people have desires for all kinds of stuff, and so they need money. Let's see. The Viking needs a farm. Oh man, you got that right. I can't wait. I can taste it. But it's more like everything that I've done in life, all the travels and everything like that has always been, I've always just seen it first. Not like I'm making it happen, but just like I'm almost peeping into the future in a way. And that's exactly what this is like. I can see it all in the school and everything like that. But how it's going to manifest yet, I don't yet know. But Ms. T says, I know, right? It's your passion. Our ancestors grew and their focus was on them and the ones they love, not this industrialized cesspool that we live in. Yes, you get it. I can tell you get it. And you need a big drinking horn. Yeah, I got one, actually. I have a huge one. Yeah, it was a gift from somebody. It's like this, but it's like, yeah. Can you drink hot tea in it? I think you only can drink mead, honey mead. So Gabe says, yeah, and I don't drink anymore, so that's not gonna work. Gabe says, hi Nate, I'm going to the woods tomorrow and need to collect leaf mold for my living soil. Can you give us any advice, please? Okay, where are you at again, Gabe? Were you on the East Coast? I forget exactly. Vermont, was it? So you will want to go into the forest and go to find the biggest, oldest tree in the area, one that has not been disturbed for as long as possible. And you want to go to the base of the tree, scoot away the snow. It doesn't matter if there's snow. It doesn't matter if there's ice. Scoot that all away until you can find the stuff underneath. Oh, you're in the UK. Okay. Well, then it's mild there. I guarantee you it's mild by our comparison. So, yeah, go into the forest and you want to get that good stuff that has been nice and decomposed, okay? That is nice and decomposed. And you want to focus on getting multiple different locations. So don't go to one location and say, oh, this is the best, and get it all from there. Because what we're trying to do is capture the biggest diversity of microorganisms, okay? And Gabe says, I already have spider mites. Would this leaf mold bring any pests to my indoor grow? What are you growing? Spider mites, okay. So spider mites, drop the temperature, up the humidity. But anyways, would this leaf mold bring any pests into my indoor grow? You will not actually be bringing the leaf mold into the grow. You're only making a microbial solution that is then going to inoculate the soil and stuff. So no, if you directly take the leaf mold and put it into the grow, yes, there will be all kinds of stuff that hatch. So I don't recommend that. You have to be very careful with the indoor stuff. Indoors, a totally different ballgame. Okay, you don't have the predators. Primarily, you don't have the power of the soil food web, and you don't have the pressure of the predators and the elements. So that is why insects and things will just proliferate. They're just like, oh man, this is a nice, warm, sunny day at the beach here. Guys, we scored, so let's just proliferate, and then you will be overrun with issues very quickly. So if you want to take it real easy on using the ferments and stuff like that while they're still indoors, okay? So you can make it pressure of the, no way, it says pressure of the predators, writing that down. Oh, absolutely. It's a very true thing, a very real thing. There's constantly in the outdoor system, there's constantly something waiting in line to feast on something else. That's what keeps everything in check. And that's why you want to have a thriving insect population. And that will keep the predators from multiplying too much. But when they're put into an indoor environment and there's no pest or predator pressure, then they're just like, oh, let's explode. And so yeah, you want to be real careful utilizing the JLF and the JMS indoors while the plants are still indoors. Really dilute it, only add it a few times, because even though there's some soil in there, you don't have the full soil food web and you don't want anything turning rancid, okay? So we dilute it big time. And the fish fertilizer, you can use that stuff. But really for the seedlings, guys, I made a video last year, which I'll probably make another one this year just as an updated one. Is one of the best ones is just the ultimate seedling fertilizer. And it's essentially just a compost extract. So if you have good, rich compost, just put it in a bag like this, something like this, okay? Put it into a bag like that, and then just dunk it a number of times into water like this, and squeeze it out a few times like that. You don't have to go crazy with it, and then just keep the compost out, strain like a tea. You're making a compost tea, but it's not aerated or anything, although you could do that. But with this, you just dunk it a few times and then immediately feed the plants, and that's all the plants will really need. That's all that the indoor plants will really need, and it's not enough. It's not going to go rancid. It's tons of good quality nutrients. So that's really the best way. And with a little bit of the JMS, that will help. Yes, with a little bit of the fish fertilizer, that will help. G4G says, everyone is saying what I meant by that. People will close you off if you let them. I enjoy how you freely share knowledge. Those who freely give will eventually receive great rewards. Oh yeah, man, you're absolutely right. And it's in my life, man, I have already been so unbelievably blessed in so many ways that I could spend the rest of my life just giving, and the ledger would still be on the side of the universe. That's how the hospitality and just the chance encounters across the world, traveling, and all of these things that these people that have come into my life and taught me things, lessons, hard lessons, many of them, but all of that is just, there's no way I could ever repay that universal debt for that. So it's like, yeah, that's why I'm just like, if you guys are into it, here it is. Here you go. Okay, let's see. Marcel says, the video you made on natural pesticide, would it also work for termites? They not too close to the garden, but they are starting to spread like wild mint. Huh, that's a good one. Spread like mint. So I know what you mean. Guys, what are some termite solutions that you guys have used? Would the borax and sugar thing still work for the termites? I think it probably would, but let me know. Do you guys have tried and true termite solutions? Not just, don't look it up and just read it, but have you guys actually done, what solutions have you done for termites? Let us know. Let's see. Hans Ketchup says, gratitude goes very far with the universe. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The state of mind is everything, because when you are grateful for things and you just recognize the things you're grateful for, the universe gives you more things to be grateful for. It's just nonstop. And what's awesome is that when you start living like this, is that you get to be someone else's gratitude. You get to be the person that someone is thankful for, which is fantastic. That's full circle as well. That's what I like, you know. So, like when someone's like, man, the universe provides. Well, you get to be that providing, which is great. So Stone Creek says, I have a small plot with 12 beds and I like size area with winter wheat. Looking for ideas to grow vertical for more yield. I have a small plot with 12 beds. Okay, grow vertical. Things you can grow vertical definitely are pole beans. They're made for growing vertical. You can also grow peas. They grow vertical to a degree, 5-6 feet. The pole beans, if you choose like the Good Mother Stallard or the Anasazi bean, you're looking at 15 feet, loaded with beans. Really good. But if you want a bean that you can eat either in the green stage, all the way from this big, all the way up until that, then the rattlesnake pole bean. Rattlesnake pole bean is the best for eating fresh, but also you can let it dry. So you eat as many as you want all season long, and they'll just keep producing more and more beans. And then once you're like full of beans and you've already canned a bunch and all of that, then just let the plants go and don't pick anymore. And the pods will become really big and they'll dry on the vine. And you just let them go till the whole pod, the whole vine, everything dries and becomes brown and brittle. And then you take the pods and, well, there's a number of different ways to extract the beans. But then you got dry beans that store in a mason jar for indefinitely. So the rattlesnake pole bean is probably the best for that, because if you're on limited space, because like the Good Mother Stallard and stuff, that's a dry bean only. You don't eat those because the pod is too fibrous. Okay. And so the Anasazi bean as well, you don't eat that. The pod is too fibrous. Those are only for drying. But if you want one that's for eating green and drying, the rattlesnake pole bean. No Way says, for termites, you need to dry out the area as best you can. Is best. They cannot thrive without moisture. Okay, they cannot thrive without moisture. Yes. Would the borax thing still work? I'm sure that it probably would. Let's see here. And why? Okay. Arkansas. Okay. I'm trying to skim back up onto some of these. Sorry. Says Tirzah says, hi Nate, in Northwest Arkansas 6B. I'm going to Southern Arkansas next weekend. Walking onion, garlic, and elephant garlic volunteers popping up in the clumps. Should they be separated and replanted now or closer to mid-May last frost? You can do them now. You can do them now because they will only become more established, as the time, because they're going to, especially garlic, they're setting down their roots and stuff right now. And then once they get to a point, they're not going to set down roots anymore once they want to start bulb production and stuff like that. It's clove production. So I would move them now. Yeah. Let's see. Dimitri says, we appreciate no Patreon. We hesitate with setting up accounts, although we do love the channel and recommend you all the time. Thank you very much. That's one of the best things you can do, guys, is recommend the channel. Because we want to reach as far as we can. Yes, this knowledge wants to reach. So Ghost Dog says, I don't do online money stuff at all. I appreciate and like and comment, but my money and the internet are separate. Don't trust stuff. Not sorry on that one. Can't say I blame you, my friend. Can't say I blame you. Yeah, never in 1,000 years would I have thought that my income was going to be tied to being online. I mean, because for years, I didn't even exist on paper for years. And but now it's like, oh, everything's online. And so that's paper, but let's see. And termites are tough. Fire ants eat termites. Termites are fire ants' primary food. Okay. Let's see. Glassback says, Nate, I check out the source for the rock salt I use for JMS. It's from a mine that was 220 million years old, inland sea. The LMS seems okay. Yeah, not a problem. It's so it would be like the real salt from Utah or the Himalayan salt. They call that rock salt, but it comes from the sea at some point, and it doesn't really matter if the sea evaporated now or then. It's all part of it. Hey, Scott Murray, $10. Thanks, Dad. He's popping in. You got any gardening questions? So Let's see, Patricia, I tried chickpeas and it was a huge failure for me. Maybe my soil was not rich enough. Really? Chickpeas? Yeah, that could be. Maybe the soil wasn't rich enough. Maybe it was too cold. They loved the heat. Yes. Let's see. Ms. T says, I didn't like the cold, but loved the soil back in North Illinois. Not really loving the soil here in North Texas. I'm trying to improve it in every way that I know how. It is literally like rock hard clay. Okay, that brings me to a question that I received from one of you guys. So 1 second. And I want to read this. Oh, and then don't let me forget to tell you guys about this, okay? Remind me to tell you about this, okay? Yeah. And let's see here. So the question is, says, Hi, Nate. Cindy from Central Texas. We have some really, really bad topsoil, and we are just getting started on our veggie garden, in addition to our year-old lavender farm. While the bad soil works great for the lavender, what can we do to quickly get some arable soil organically? Thanks so much for your videos. I've been taking copious notes for the last couple of months. You are welcome, my friend. And okay, so for you, now I don't know if it's sand dominated, clay dominated, or what it is, but you will want to get the life happening in the soil. It's all about microorganisms. Contrary to most people's understanding, virtually all the things that your plants need already exist in the soil, even in heavy clay. All the minerals already exist. They're just not accessible to the plant. And so what makes it accessible is the microorganism activity. Microorganisms digest rocks. Yes, it takes a long time, but they digest rocks and put the minerals into the soil and everything like that. And so we are... Yes. And so it's all about adding the microorganisms, and that's what we want to do. And so you want to get, for one, you want to establish habitat for the microorganisms. So this includes organic matter, okay? Leaf mold, grass clippings, compost, manures are your friend. They are key, okay? Animals, humans, and agriculture are like a triad. We've existed alongside for many thousands of years, and it's very important. The grass-eating animals like the cow, the horse, they make, what comes out of them is the ideal growing source, is the ideal nutrient for growing, okay? So you want to utilize the manures and get them into the soil. Now, if it's your first time on the place and it's depleted soil, not a lot of nutrients, not a lot of stuff, then you it's beneficial to do a one-time initial till. You can do this to get in biochar and organic matter. So in your space, get rid of the weeds, either by burning a fire on top, which is a great method, or by blacking out the tarp, and then inoculate some biochar, like I just talked in the method at the beginning of the video. And then after the biochar is inoculated, spread that onto the surface. And then spread some fresh manure on top of that. Chicken, cow, horse, even goats and all of that is still pretty good. And then you could till it all in as the one-time initial till. Get that stuff in there and to break up the hard pan of the clay. All right? Do you garden barefoot? Yes, I do, always. Unless I'm doing shovel work. But so break up that hard pan. Let me finish that thought. And so it's okay to do the one-time initial till. We're going to get that microorganisms in there. And then you want to inoculate the space with several brews of full-strength JMS. That's the microbial solution, Jadam microbial solution with the potato, leaf mold, and the sea salt. And that's going to get the life happening, and that's most important. And so after you get the life happening, then you want to, boom, thick layers of mulch. Leaves are ideal for mulch, okay? And so that is, in a nutshell, I mean, without us doing like a one-on-one consultation, that is what you want to do. And that is going to get the life happening, and that's going to get everything happening for you as quickly as possible, okay? And then you can add more nutrients and stuff like that. But let me go back up here. I saw somebody, yeah, 8A Gardening in Clay, $9.99. Thank you very much, my friend. It says cheers. Yes, cheers, my friend. And gardening in clay. Yeah, so you're like exactly what we're talking about. Oh, I got a notification that says celebrate the first super chat from 8A Gardening in Clay. Okay, nice. Well, I just did celebrate it. Thank you. Voitech, $9.99. Thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate the contribution. And let's see. Jason Knight says, you've inspired me once again and going to burn a plot in the yard. I have that awful grass, so we will see. Little pile of pallets and lumber. Putting a 12-inch raised bed. Okay, so you are going to, you have the fire, and you're going to burn the fire, and everything's going to go down, and that's going to kill the grass. And then you're going to add some kind of mulch over that, or some kind of manures or something like that over it. Yes. So thank you. Tirzah says, thank you, Viking. You are good luck. When you answered, found my favorite horizontal, missing 3 years. Okay, well, that's good to hear, my friend. Hans Ketchup, $1.99. Thank you, my friend. He says, stay grounded, garden barefooted. Absolutely, guys. The earth is designed, and this is not just some wishy-washy. This is for real, okay? It took me many years to understand all this stuff. But, oh yeah, tell you about the phone thing. Okay. It took me many years to understand this, guys, but the body has a certain charge and the earth has a certain charge. And the earth wants to pull from you the ions. And this is what grounding is about. So, so when we build up toxins and things like this in our body, energetic frequencies, the earth will immediately, boom, ground you. When I used to work at the factory, many years ago now, in the previous life, I was soldering circuit boards for military aircraft, BAE systems. And I was just soldering circuit boards every day through a microscope. And we had to wear these certain smocks that had a cord on them, and we had to plug it in, and that would take all of the electricity out from us, because otherwise we could transfer it to the boards and fry the chips. And so it's a similar concept when you are outside, bare feet on the ground. You are grounded, and it takes from you that buildup of toxic charge. So it's very good. Yes. And the communication between the soles of the feet and the microorganisms, it's all, once you become sensitive and aware of these things, it's all there. You can just feel it. It's just everywhere. You can feel that this is true when you are experiencing it. Let's see here. Get It Right says, I've heard that, yes, you can use human, but normally it is composted for 2 years. Yeah, you can use human manure. Absolutely. That's what our ancestors used to do all the time. They didn't have these complex sewage systems and complex, remember to hit the like button. Thank you, Tree Rogi. They didn't have these complex sewage handling facilities and all of that. They said, okay, well, we are eating this stuff, and so here's the remains, so we're going to put it back into the soil, like a closed loop. Yes. Now our diets have become, many people's diets, not mine, but have become so toxic that you're almost toxifying the land, but that's okay. Still, it's really good to use, okay? There's even data out there claiming that inflammation reduces when walking at least half an hour barefoot per day. Absolutely, it would. Yes, and when you understand the energetic flow and frequency, then yes, you understand that this is very true. Let's see, Ghost Dog says, can I ferment my leftover cannabis seeds, stalks, and roots to add them to my next plants? Otherwise, I am just using compost and mulching to old product in the soil. Yes, you can ferment all of those. That is actually the ideal. So if the root balls or the, so long as you are like organic, if you're going the chemical route, then it's a whole different world, okay? And you don't want to mix the organic and the chemical because they work by totally separate routes. One is all about microorganisms, the biology, and the other is all about the chemistry. The chemistry starves and depletes and kills the biology, which for short-term gain, that can be okay so long as you're only using the chemicals, so... But we don't want to do that because that's not sustainable. That's not leaving the earth more fertile than we found it. That's not improving the chances for thriving for the future generations. That doesn't help anybody but the person immediately trying to get a profit out of the land, the chemical fertilizers. Okay. But the natural fertilizers help everything. They help everyone in every way. It makes the land more fertile now and in the future. And it's the way to go. I could go on and on about it. But yeah, I'm sure that you're doing it that way. So yes, you can ferment the whole thing. And also put the crop residue in place. Okay. You can also, I don't know where you're at again, forget, but like, in California, we couldn't really use the native soil because it was like hard red clay, so not for what we wanted to grow. So we could dig trenches, several feet deep, several feet wide, and very long. And then we could fill them with all the plant residues and stuff and let that compost over the winter until the next season. And along with manures and stuff like that. And that works really well. So let's see. Wendy says, does grounding still work if you walk on grass, or does it need to be dirt? Grass will still work. Yes, grass will work. Dirt is best. If you can get your feet into there with the microorganisms. Remember, guys, we have between 50 and 100 trillion microorganisms within us. Okay? More microorganism cells than human cells, which is mind-blowing. Look it up. And there is no doubt that these cells, or that these organisms, can communicate with our surrounding. That's how it goes. And so the microorganisms in the soil and stuff can communicate with the body to produce feel-good hormones, all kinds of good stuff. You will feel better. Dopamine, serotonin, all of these kind of things by walking and grounding in the earth. Yes, you can just feel it. So Ghost Dog says, I fed them compost, and I admit I have Miracle Grow, so I won't bother this year. I would just compost the leftover. Okay, but you know what? It's there is a point of transition. So if you're trying to, if you're going to do it next year, then still add them this year. Still do it this year because you're transitioning. Okay, I shouldn't make it sound like never cross the two, but if you're transitioning to a completely natural farming method, then there is that crossover period. But if your long-term plan is to use both Miracle Grow and Jadam and microbials and all of this, forget about it. Because they're fighting against each other. And No Way says, I truly believe I have a better immune system due to running around my grandmother's farm barefooted and a healthy gut and a healthier gut. Yes, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Yes, the compost, healthier, yes. Hardier, yes. Let's see. Thanks, Gabe. I think I put about 3 or 4 tablespoons on about 10 square feet. Oh, there was a question about, okay, Rhonda, I'll get your question. Okay. Rhonda says, question, can I or should I apply the JMS to the garden even if it drenched in rain? JMS is the one made with the potato and aquarium heater, correct? That's correct. And yes, you can. Actually, when it's raining is a great time to apply the JMS because we want it to be carried deep into the earth. This is important. And so, yes, you can add it straight while this is happening, while it's raining, and that's going to be to a good effect. Okay. Guys, take this chance to just hit the like button. I would appreciate that. We got to grow things here. And so I guess the like button helps to, grow the channel. You can spray it for pest management, but also less likely to overfeed. What are you talking about, Gabe? Let's see. And hey, y'all, going to save this. Watch it later what I missed. Okay, Mystic Meadow, glad you're here. Sulfur does... Let's see. Okay, Chad says, that's right. Should I sprinkle a little sulfur on my compost? Yeah, you can. You definitely can do that. If you made the Jadam sulfur, then yes, you can spray it on there. But yeah, you don't have to use a lot. If you're spraying it on, if you're gonna do about no more than 5 milliliters per gallon of water of the Jadam sulfur. that's the method I recommend it in, because it's easier to spread it over the bigger area. And so the because one time I used because one time I wanted to, okay, I had a soil fungus that was killing all kinds of stuff, plants, anything I would put into it would catch this fungus. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to drench the soil in a really strong solution of Jadam sulfur. Okay. And so I mixed way too much. It was like a cup in a gallon, and because I thought, okay, well, I'll see if this is going to cure it. And so then it was like a cup per gallon, and watered the whole area with it. Okay, which was only like one bed. And within seconds, I saw hundreds of earthworms coming out of the soil, all just flailing around on top of the soil. And I was just like horrified. I was like, oh my God, what did I do? My friends, my main man, my right-hand man, the worms, the workers, the heavy lifters. And they're just coming out of the soil by the hundreds wherever I sprayed that stuff. And they're, so I ran and got the sprayer and, doused them with water and stuff like that. And so really diluted it. And, yeah, I felt really bad. But that's how I learned that this stuff is super powerful, and you only use it in the appropriate concentration. At between 1 and 3 mils per gallon, I've never had any kind of issues. You can spray it directly on an earthworm and they don't care. Okay, it doesn't bother them at that concentration. But if you do a cup per gallon, then it's apparently very toxic to them. So keep that in mind, And let's see. Shouldn't add any liquid fertilizer in rain. Your soil is clay-based. Only excellent soil will benefit from liquid fertilizer in the rain. Yeah, I differ from that opinion. I think that any soil will help, especially, well, because we're talking about the microbial brew. We're not talking about the fertilizers so much. We're talking about the microbial brews, was that question. And you want that to be carried into every little nook and cranny, because it is the microbes that is going to help to break up the soil and add oxygen, aeration into the soil. Ms. P says, what soil mix do you use for seed starts transplants? Thanks for addressing this. Yes, so mine is, I can't recommend it to people though, because mine is just a way that I've just developed over time. It's a bit of compost. I make it, and I use reclaimed soil from a buddy and stuff like this. So here comes the pH pep talk. I saw that pH question up there. But if you're talking about seed starting, okay, then you want to, this is where it pays to get good soil, okay? And by soil, I mean, you can use the peat-based mix if you like, but you will have to add nutrients to that. So if you have because the peat mixes like Pro Mix and stuff like that are sterile, basically. There's nothing in them. They're tiny little amounts of things. But you need to add some nutrients into there. So if you take Pro Mix, for example, you can use that. But then you want to add about 30% earthworm castings. Yes. So you will have to purchase both of those things. But if you add the earthworm castings and then give it a gentle inoculation with the microbial solution and occasionally feed it the fish fertilizer, you'll be totally fine. Also, you could take a Pro Mix. And you guys know what I'm talking about with Pro Mix, right? It's the square bales of basically just peat and perlite, a little bit of lime, I think, in some of them. You could take the Pro Mix and you could add 30% of earthworm castings, or just about, it's hard to gauge. But if you had a big tub, you could add a half gallon or a gallon of earthworm castings. And then you could also... you could also sift some compost. That's what I wanted to say. You could sift some compost so that it's very well sifted, and then you can add that into it as well. So maybe I can't really think of the proportions off the top of my head, but like 10 parts of Pro Mix to 1 part of earthworm casting to 1 part of compost, sifted fine compost. Mix that all together, and that's going to work really well. Something like that. And the what was I gonna say? There was one more thing I wanted to say about that. It'll come to me. So let's see. 184. Make your own slips. It's cheaper. Okay. Yes. Hey, FE crew. Nate is such a great first-hand researcher. Who else can't wait for him to figure out the 8 inches per mile squared formula? He already disproves mainstream science in so many ways. 8 inches per square mile formula. 8 inches per square mile formula. Kind of cryptic, my friend. Okay, let's see. Where was that question about the... RJ says, clay won't absorb excess water or additives. Right, of course, but you want to get the clay so that it will. If the clay has, if you're using cover crops, if you've got solid clay soil, you're using cover crops with microorganisms, you will eventually have nice soil, even if it's clay. It won't matter. So you're using something with a vigorous root system and you're not tilling, then you will, very shortly, after just a season or two, you will have good soil that you can grow in. So yes, you definitely want to add, but it's all about the cover crops, because with clay, you want to get that, like the winter wheat or the winter rye, you want to get that root in there so it breaks it all up. And you want to leave the root, never till it after that. And then add the microbial solution. And that is going to really help to break up and inoculate the soil with the good stuff, because every one of those little tiny roots, once the plant is terminated, they decompose and they leave behind glomalin from the fungal activity, the mycorrhizal fungi and stuff like this. And he says, RJ says, yes, clay has everything to build good soil. That's correct. Yes. Okay. It refreshed 115 likes. Oh, nice. And Nate, have you ever looked at your soil in a indoor native terrarium? I have not. No, I have not yet. But no, I haven't. Ghost Dog says, Pro Mix is everywhere up here in Canada. Oh, you're at the home of the Pro Mix. Glad I didn't buy any. Let's see. My friends have forests with lots of peat on the ground. Yeah, and okay, that's the way to do it. But ideally, I mean, peat is a resource that has to be mined and shipped with diesel and blah, blah. I mean, it's super resource intensive. Yes. It is really a good method, a good substance for seed starting. People want to fill their raised beds with that kind of stuff, and then they wonder why they have problems, because there's nothing in it. There's no nutrients in it. It's not soil. It's not soil. Soil is sand, silt, and clay, and microorganisms, okay? But ProMix and virtually any of the soils that you get from the store, other than the bag of topsoil, those are soilless growing mediums, and that is, there's no soil in it. The peat and the perlite, that's not sand, silt, or clay, and there's no microbes really. And so, where was I going with that? Yeah, it can be good. It can be useful when you're trying to start stuff up indoors. Because guys, I tried for a number of years, and I still do experiments all the time, but I wanted to just use homemade stuff. And it works, but it's the insect issue. You have so many insects because that thriving good garden soil is bursting with insects of all the different sorts. And so utilizing straight up compost and stuff, and straight up leaf mold, or straight up, I used to use different combinations and stuff. If you have a greenhouse, you can do this. Yeah, it's way more lenient. But if you're starting stuff up like in the grow tent or something, then you're going to be infested with all kinds of flying insects. That's my experience. So is peat, humus also without the good stuff? Yes. Well, peat humus would be humic acids are essentially a type of coal. I mean, like the commercial type is Leonardite is what it is. And it's good for the soil, very good for the soil, yes. but you can't make it yourself, that type. You can make a compost extract, which is the closest thing and which is still very good for the plants. And that's what I recommend. Basically what I told you guys at the first, putting the good quality finished compost in there, making it like a tea, that's going to have humics, humic acid, fulvic acid is going to be in that, to a degree. But the commercial stuff is mined from coal. It's called Leonardite. And, that can be good in certain situations, but I just focus on the things that we can make ourselves or acquire ourselves. So let's see. Insects are our friends, hard workers. Yes, absolutely. And, cotton, how can I, okay. Alicia says, use seabird guano that gave 12-11-2 last year, and everything it touched grew like crazy. Cotton seed similar. How can I replicate this at home? Primarily, you will want to get a hold of some manures and make the teas or add them to the soil. But definitely you can ferment the manures like we do all the ferments with the leaf mold and the water. You could also just make a tea from that with where it's not fermented. It's just steeps in water for a couple of days. Also, the fish fertilizer. That will be very similar in results. Yeah. But the seabird guano is good stuff. I mean, if you could harvest the seabird guano, yes. But the homemade fertilizers can be every bit as effective as anything from the store. And a lot of times much higher, if you make them right, much higher quality. So let's see here. There was I forget what that question was about pH, right? I never got a chance to speak on it. But you already know what I'm going to say about the pH of the soil, guys, don't you? So it's like not even really an issue. And clay is perfect for the Terra Preta method. Yeah, I'm a broken record about it. Yes, I've heard you mention that many times, my friend. Nate, do you ring your bulbing onions? What do you mean ring them? Only I will scoot away the soil from the top or from around the bulb, only if it's like pressed up against it, because you want it to be able to expand so that it's just the onion sitting on top of the soil. It looks like you just took an onion and set it right on top of the soil, but the roots go down into the earth. Yes. So Ghost Dog says, I really appreciate you, Nate. Thank you, my friend. It's nice to be appreciated. Glassback says, my clay soil has changed a lot since adding labs. It's gone from creamy yellow to black and crumbly. Yes, my friend, the labs are fantastic for that exact purpose. They are really the heavy lifters. So you can add the labs, then you can add the JMS, and then you can add the labs and then the JMS, and that is really going to help. Let's see. And Double A says, hi, Jenny, the steel pane heart. Yes. What, is she on this chat? She should be here any minute, but she always runs behind. She's on divine time. So yeah, good luck scheduling divine time. Question, will liquid fish fertilizer brew still work if I accidentally let the airlock dry out for a couple of days? Yes, this is not like a wine or something like that where you can't have any oxygen in there. The only reason that we put the airlock on there, one is to allow the pressure to escape so it doesn't blow the lid off. But for two is the smell, because with the airlock, for whatever reason, it pretty much eliminates the smell. And the first couple of years I was making it in the basement, and you can't have that smell. You can't have that smell. So I use the airlock and it eliminates that smell. When we made it in California, we made it in these huge barrels, and they had lids, but it was there was no airlock. The lid just sort of breathed a little bit, only if the pressure built up. It was designed in such a way that when the pressure built up, it would allow a certain amount of pressure out. But it was not just like free. You don't want it to evaporate as well. So it's very important. But the main issue was with the bears, man, in California. Oh, man. The cinnamon bears. Let's see here. Rhonda says, do I add labs full strength to the garden like the JMS or dilute it? Labs you can dilute. I mean, if you had enough of the labs, if you have a cow or something and you can just buy the 5-gallon bucket. But yeah, you can dilute that. Yeah, definitely you can dilute that. The labs do about 1 ounce a gallon, maybe 2 ounces a gallon. That's as strong as you want to do it, as you need to do it. You can do it at other strengths, but you don't get a whole lot more benefit. No Way says, a wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to. Yes, I live by that quote, my friend. Yeah, Rachel says, LOL, love Divine Time. Yeah, guys, check out Rachel's channel, Successful Garden Design. She's got some pretty cool videos, and she is into a lot of these techniques and stuff. She's also got garden designs on, well, as the name implies. So yeah, she is a regular viewer of this channel and part of the community. So check it out. Dimitri says, we use an airlock on our fish fertilizer bucket. It's in our greenhouse and there is no smell at all till we want to use it. Nice. See, that's exactly right. I wish I could pin that comment. Michael P or Michelle P. I don't know what the difference. Okay, I have 10 grow beds inside a polytunnel loaded with fungus gnats, zone 6B. What do you recommend to lower the out of control population? Okay, the fungus gnats are for one, they're a feedback mechanism because they are telling you that something is incorrect about your setup, your environment. So if the fungus gnats are there, it's for a reason. So they feast on the fungus that is in on the surface of the soil. So anytime you have that green kind of fungus, any of the kind of molds, they will feast on that. And that's not so much a problem, but the problem is that the larvae of the fungus gnats feast on the roots of the plant. And that is a big problem. And so yes, we want to get rid of them. But if the conditions are adjusted so that there's not an overabundance of water or stagnant water, or there's not incomplete drainage, or there's not the incorrect temperatures, then they're not going to grow. So I rarely have problems anymore now that I understand what conditions attract them. All right. So that's number one. So you want to adjust it so that there's more airflow, so that the temperatures, I don't know what your temperatures are like, but you want to make it so that it's inhospitable to the mold growing. Make sure that there's plenty of drainage, make sure that there's airflow, make sure there's not too much of a type of organic matter. RJ says bottom water all beds. If that's possible, yeah, go ahead. I mean, yeah, if you can do that, that's a very good method. Drip lines are very good. We used to use drip lines extensively in Northern California, and that's when I fell in love with the drip lines. And I'm just talking about the Toro, tape with the 4-inch emitters every 4-inch. And that stuff, guys, it's awesome because it emits, and all you see is on the surface is a little quarter size wet spot. That's it. But then when you dig down, it goes like this. It goes from the little quarter size wet spot, it goes down, 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 down until about 8 inches or 6 inches below the soil surface. It's just all nice and moist. There was like a carpet of roots underneath that. And so that keeps the soil surface dry. And so that's really important if you're in a place that is going to be combating fungus gnats. So that's one method. Also then, to get rid of them, you will want to use one of the Jadam protocols. You can use the I forget which one exactly works for that, but definitely the JWA, the Jadam wetting agent. You can add that. That's going to dissolve their body. Really, if you add, okay, here's the mix. If you do 1 gallon of water with what was the mix? 1 gallon of water with 2 ounces of the Jadam wetting agent and 2 teaspoons of sodium hydroxide, then mix that up and immediately spray it onto the soil surface, then that will take care of them, because that will dissolve their bodies, the larvae, the adults, all of it. Okay. But then you have to do the measures on top of that is going to eliminate their habitat. And also, like some other people have said, you can use the BT. All right, you can use that if you want. But fungus gnat larvae will destroy all seedling roots, especially tomatoes. Act quickly. Yes, absolutely. Act quickly. Ghost dog. Yeah, you understand that comment. Yeah, Scott Murray says, can I use 50 pounds of 20-20-20 on a flower bed? Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, dump that stuff on there. It's got good things in it like ammonium phosphate and other hardcore petrochemicals. It's very good for the soil. That was sarcasm. That was sarcasm. Yeah, you can bring in other predator insects as well, RJ says, for the gnats and for anything, you know. If you have, see, we used to release thousands, tens of thousands of ladybugs inside the greenhouses in Northern Cali. And, but here's the thing, is that if there's not a food source for them, the predatory insects, they will leave. They will go to where the food source is. So you can let go, you can let all of the ladybugs go, and even the praying mantis. I used to release thousands of them, and they'd be around for a while, but once all the mites or anything like that was eaten up, they were gone, just vanished, okay? Because there's no more food for them. So the best thing to do absolutely is preventative, okay? And Google BT, yeah, Bactothurogenesis, I forget the exact term. It's a bacteria that will eat the larva, and that can work. Yeah, really good. So has anyone else got root rot? Some of my plants has this, but I'm using lots of microbes to combat this. Okay, root rot. Now, there's a cause for root rot. So that's what you have to get to. You have to see, okay, is water too stagnant? Is it not draining properly? What kind of microorganism activity is in my soil? Okay, labs will really help with root rot. But you're probably watering too often. Your temperatures are probably too low. The soil temperature is probably too low. And there's not enough airflow. That would be my guess. And there's possibly not enough light intensity. All of those factors can come into play. So you have to look at all of those things. Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to show you guys this before I forget. And I've showed you this before, and I'm not affiliated with these people, but I'm telling you guys, so long as you have good water pressure, this is the best watering wand that I've ever found. So the season's coming. So I just wanted to show you, it's the Dram rain wand. Yeah, these, I've used so many. My whole life was watering. I would water 8 to 12 hours a day in peak summer in Northern California. And so I got an intimate knowledge of watering wands, way more intimate than I should. And that's how I settled on these Dram. They're just, the mechanism is so nice, and the breaker is such heavy flow. So if you have good water pressure, you know, that's what you want, okay? And just boom, lets it out, which is great. They also make short ones. If you're like in the basement or if you're in the greenhouse or something and you don't need all that length and it's cumbersome. But yeah, these things are super good. I got a link in the description, which is just an Amazon link, you know, you can go to it. It's towards the bottom. It's where I said world's best, in my opinion, watering wand. You guys can get those and get ready for the season. So, so Han says, yep, ladybugs are great for greenhouses, but if you're outside, tell your neighbors to buy them. Yeah, basically. Let's see. I found a soil thermometer that is mercury, no batteries. Takes 3 minutes to read the data, but it will survive the grid fall. Okay, very nice. Yes, and so what does the soil say? What does the temperature say? Or no, you weren't the one that had the root rot, were you? No. Not watered, okay, not watered for 2 weeks, and humidity is always at 55%. You've not watered for 2 weeks? In what kind of tray or what kind of container are they in? Because that's, there's something they're not using, they're either not using it regularly or, well, there's some kind of issue going on. Okay, JP says, Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis, mosquito dunks. So, yeah, that's the term for BT. Mosquito dunks or microbe lift. Makes a liquid. Works great. Yes. Yes, all that stuff can work pretty good. But here's the thing, guys. That's why yes, those things work, but I don't immediately recommend stuff like that because they will just come back if you don't fix the cause of why they were there in the first place. So that's the thing. It's like Western medicine, well, here's a pill. We'll just keep giving you this pill, but never mind what caused the ailment in the first place. It's best if you just keep using this pill because that's good for us. So yeah, but then the cause never gets fixed. So Ms. P, $4.99. Thank you very much, my friend. I'm working on creating habitats for beneficial birds and insects and let them be the pesticide. Yes, that will absolutely happen. Guys, I have video literally of wasps flying onto the collard greens and going down and airlifting off each little cabbage worm, which is great. And uh-oh, the steel pane is here. So yeah, and we're going to a Viking festival afterwards. So yeah, you'll see what I mean. Here, pull up a chair.
No, this is how I always
Pull up a chair. Let's see here. Okay, it's okay. Okay, good. Got the mic set.
Hi.
Hello. Yes. So, fungus gnats. Yeah, divine time. I was telling them about divine timing.
I heard you.
Mm-hmm.
I was on.
Yeah. Okay. So let us see. What was the questions? Do you guys have any questions for Jenny? And ask her if she took her fabric off of the garden bed yet.
Well, I mean, it was down so well that I was...
Yeah, she's like, but I took so much time to lay it down. I just can't take it off.
So no, it's
well,
fine.
Okay, but...
It looks amazing.
Yeah, and guys, and I'll show you more videos of her garden this year, but for all you guys that didn't hear our discussion last time, last year with her, we started from fresh soil, okay? And we took a huge amount of horse manure and made rows that were about 2 feet high and about 4 feet across of the horse manure. I mean, trailer loads, we had a bobcat,
Yeah,
and we had a mountain of horse manure that this horse farm allowed us to use. And it had been there for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So it was really well composted. And we took that and made those long rows like that. Boom, boom, boom. With about 4 feet in between.
Yeah. About 50 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
About 50 feet long. Then we just rolled the landscaping fabric, the breathable landscaping fabric over that. And look,
Cut the holes.
Jenny has brought in the sunshine. See, I knew this would happen. I knew they would like you. But
Thank you.
yes. Then we laid it. So then we just put the landscaping fabric over it, put big holes into it, and then planted directly into the horse manure and peppers and tomatoes.
Everything.
Yeah. And
yeah.
how was the
had
result?
Everything. It went crazy. Things grew it was, it was wonderful.
Yeah. How many times did you water after the first 2 weeks of watering to get it established? How many days did you water?
None. I never watered again.
None.
And I told this on the last time, but Nate gave me something to plant, and when we had a drought, like it was bone dry, and when I went down to the soil to plant the thing, it was wet, like wet. And everything else up here was like bone dry. It hadn't rained for a long time, and it was wet down in there. So, yeah, I never watered again.
And that's huge. That's super important because we had a terrible drought last year. We went 8 weeks without any. Yeah. We went 8 weeks without any water, any rain whatsoever. Okay.
It's like the perfect platform for me. It was perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect for her because no weeding, no maintenance. You just go out there and pick the fruit. You just go out there and harvest.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, but that won't work for everyone. And, she had the master planner of the whole thing. So,
I did. It's true.
So, yes.
That's true.
It did work out well.
He knows my life. So he planned the garden.
Yeah, I was like, oh, no. We got to put this landscaping fabric down because otherwise it will just be a huge garden of weeds.
Yeah.
So
pretty.
Yeah.
Natural. Organic.
Yeah. But not everybody can do that though, because we started with, I mean, the soil in her yard was very good. It never had been farmed. It never had chemicals sprayed on it.
Oh, no.
You know, it was just, and she let the grass grow to like 2-3 feet, you know, so that worked, and we didn't till, that all worked out really well. Did you get your garlic planted?
Well,
Good question.
I bought it. I got some.
Okay.
But the day
So that's
I was
what's
gonna
important.
do it, it was raining.
It was raining. It was like there was clouds in the sky. I was kind of like, I was sleeping.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I promise you. Next time, because now you're holding me accountable.
Yeah. You guys have to hold her accountable
Yeah,
for
now
this.
you're holding me accountable. So, oh, jeez.
Okay. What is on your phone chart? Oh, that's right. Yes. Well, it was going to be a little bit more of a rant about, it was going to tie in really good to okay, guys, this is what's being perpetrated upon us. Okay. So as far as,
Oh, that thing. Oh, my.
yeah.
This is nonsense.
Oh, it's total nonsense, guys. But okay, look up, if you want to look up how deeply we are being misled as far as health and nutrition and what is actually happening with the body and how what you take into your body influences your state of... Look up Food Compass Tufts University, TUFTS, Tufts University. And they will show you, this is the new updated food pyramid. Yeah, it's gonna be backwards, but this is the new updated food recommendation pyramid. And this is by the Canadian government funded this study, okay? And this is literally what they are putting out there now to people. And so the green stuff means to be highly encouraged. The yellow stuff means to be in moderate, and the red stuff means to be minimized, okay? So let me just read you a couple of the things in the updated food compass, okay? These are to be encouraged. Orange juice with calcium, frosted mini wheats. That's right, frosted mini wheats, okay? Sweet potato fries, chocolate covered almonds. Guys, chocolate covered almonds are up here above skinless chicken breast. Skinless chicken breast is way down here, and right below skinless chicken breast is Lucky Charms. Lucky Charms cereal. Okay? Look this up. This is not a joke. It's mind-blowing.
I mean, it's
Tufts.
a joke. It's a joke, but it's not a joke. They're serious.
Yeah, it's total joke. But yes, this is yes, canned pineapple in heavy syrup is above a boiled or poached egg. Look it up and you will see. It's horrifying. Yes, you're right. Kale is number one. Right. Which kale is great, but you're not surviving on kale. Okay? Sweet potatoes, beans, all the good stuff, raw milk, and beef liver, and all of these kind of things. Way more. Potatoes with the skins on, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so it's, and the very, very lowest thing of all, the lowest thing at the very bottom is ground beef. Yeah, okay, so just look it up yourself. If you're not horrified like I am, then we got some more talking to do. Yeah. So how do you grow frosted mini wheats? That's a good question, my friend. Yeah, I should make up my own. Yes, and I should make my own from things that we grow in the garden. And yeah. Anyways.
Frosted mini wheatgrass.
Frosted mini wheatgrass.
You
Yes.
can dry it.
Yes.
Crunch it up.
Yeah. So this guy says, PA says, if it's not grass-fed beef, I get that. That's true. I mean, the industrial cheap stuff from Kroger is loaded with antibiotics, toxins of all different kinds, all kinds of stress hormones from the animals and stuff. But the good stuff, like I get from the Amish, grass-fed, grass-finished, pastured their whole life, you know, that's the really good stuff. Real dark, deep colored, rich flavored. So it's really good. They don't have to add a bunch of stuff to make it look colorful and everything. So someone said something about, okay, Rachel says, question, do fruit flies damage seedlings? Got them in my grow tent and they are breeding like flies. Like flies, that's right. Yes, the fruit fly itself eats the fungus and stuff like that. Well, wait, you're talking about fruit flies. Wait, okay, fruit flies. Yeah, I was thinking fungus gnats. Okay, fruit flies though are still going to be, you still don't really want them. They're not going to be nearly as big of an issue though. They can damage some of the seedlings and stuff. Maybe their roots can oh god. They will try to go after some of the roots, but fruit flies are not nearly as much of a problem as fungus gnats. So I typically don't worry about it. That just means that you have a bit too much moisture. So you could put a trap out. You could put I thought I saw one. Oh, I thought I saw one. So you bring the flies. Oh, Shiva.
Shiva wanted to make an appearance.
Yeah, Shiva wants to make an appearance.
The garden cat. Shiva the garden cat.
Yeah, so, okay. Can you make potato slips from grocery potatoes? Now, you mean sweet potatoes, of course. So, yes, you can. It works best if they're organic ones, but some of the even non-organic ones will work. But go to the organic supply store where you're at, or the farmer's co-op or whatever it is. Get some that are grown locally. That would be the best. But really, any of them will work. Just, go there, sprout them, and they will work. Yeah, they will work. Are you sprouting yours yet?
Well, let me tell you a story. So all of my potatoes that I harvested, all the little ones, because I didn't weed the potatoes. Remember how we had that conversation?
Yeah.
Well, I went to get them to make, to use them the other day, and they had sprouts on them like this.
Yeah.
So can I just plant those?
You're talking about Irish potatoes, though, right? We're talking about sweet potatoes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You can plant those. Here in about another month, we'll be planting those. So, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
You can definitely plant those. They'll have nice long. You can plant them even when they're this long. So, guys, if your potatoes are sprouting, and even if they're that long, it's not going to matter.
It's like a fish store. He said this long. He said
even if they're this long, even if they're that long,
yeah, even if they're like this long,
even if they're like across the room from you,
it's fine.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, you have to get binoculars to see them. Yes, Hans Ketchup says fruit flies will go to apple cider vinegar. Put a drop of soap in it. Yes, you can put a drop of soap in it, or Jadam Wedding Agent. Put a couple of drops of it in there, and some apple cider vinegar, and it breaks the surface tension of the water so that the fruit fly will land on the surface and it will immediately fall into the solution and become like drunk and drowned. So that's a good thing. I tend to put like Visqueen over the top of the jar and poke a few holes in that, and that ensures that they go in and stay in.
Transition them on to their next life.
Yeah, it's time for them to move on.
We wish you many blessings, fruit flies. Thank you for your time here.
I'm vegan, so I can't complain. I saw how the mini wheats are made. It is much like paper pulp machine. Yes, but even if you're vegan, though, that food pyramid is still absolute whack garbage joke, because it doesn't have things like whole potato. It has Lucky Charms above. I mean, the fact that Lucky Charms are even in the consideration, their recommendation should be so minuscule as to not even be on the chart. They should be classed with toxic garbage, is what they should be classed with. So there's no cereal that is actually really good for you. There's none. And even then you see the Facebook ads about the high proteins cereal and all that for adults and stuff like that. No, it's still garbage. It's still over processed. Guys, if you want stuff like that, just be eating the real deal. Eat the more real that you can get, the better. Dates and almonds and cashews and pecans, dehydrated or dried fruits, stuff like this. Yes, boiled, hard-boiled eggs or all kinds of eggs. Oats, yes. Sprouted wheat, sprout the wheat and make that with some of the blueberries and all the good stuff, okay? Okay, Her Highness, Her Highness would recommend Lucky Charms. It's nonsense. Yeah, why would anyone recommend Lucky Charms? Well, I think that for those of us that know, we know why they would recommend it.
Money.
Yeah, the financing. Okay, all of those companies, all of that funding has to come from somewhere, and so it comes from the billions and billions of dollars that these companies invest in that kind of research.
It shows you the marketing machine. They will have success in getting some people to say, "Well, it's on the chart,"
Right. Oh yeah, they'll totally have success. Some people will say it's on the chart,
It's on the chart.
so it's got to be good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Onions.
that's good
Yep.
for you.
Onions just starting, so like to strengthen them up doing that. Okay, guys. So if you have any more questions, let us know. Any burning question, because we are about to head to the Viking Festival, and many believe they have been controlling us with the sugars. This is very possible, guys. It goes so deep. You can't. The thing is that most people
Additives.
are not willing to admit how deep it goes. They're not willing to say, no, they wouldn't do that, or no, that's not happening. But that's willful ignorance at this point.
If you ever go to another country, I've lived in
A little bit closer.
I've lived in England and I lived in Australia, and there I don't have to go through the ingredients like we have to go through here. There are things that just are not allowed there in those other countries that are allowed here. Same ingredients like Heinz ketchup does not have corn syrup. Things, everything like Coca-Cola doesn't have in other countries corn syrup. The things that they allow here are unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely is. And these chemicals, man, people know. Cheryl, I will get to your question in a moment. The chemicals here, these scientists that are developing this stuff inside the laboratories, they understand not only what the chemicals do, but what the combinations of the chemicals do. Mm-hmm. So once they're into the body and what they do they understand to a degree all of that kind of stuff. And so these are scientists in a laboratory creating these man-made chemicals that the body never evolved to deal with. The body recognizes that as a total toxin that it doesn't know how to process, because for hundreds of thousands of years, or however long you feel we've existed in this form, we never had to deal with these brand new man-made synthetic toxins. So the body doesn't know how to deal with it. And so it stores it. And the buildup of toxins is the number one cause of disease. Cheryl, okay, I'm getting to your question. She said, because she said new subscriber. Let's see here. Cheryl says, hi, new subscriber. Do you have any thoughts on using 2 or 3 year old fish fertilizer? I have 3 gallons I caught on sale and didn't get a chance to use it yet. Safe to use? Yes, absolutely. It is still safe to use. It shouldn't really go bad, especially if it's a commercial kind that they made in the jug. It's been stabilized with enzymes. So it's not going to continue breaking down, really. You will, because otherwise, if they tried to ship it, it would just explode. The bottle would explode and it'd be rancid smell all over the place. So they stabilize it with enzymes. So you will be totally fine. I would use it up though, and maybe use double the amount that you would normally use, because it's 2-3 years old. Really, 2 and 3 years old is not that big of a deal though. If you're making it yourself, then 2 and 3 years, it just gets better with time. Spreading Idea says, in Jadam's book, JMS, 2 grams of potatoes are put for every 1 gram of leaf mold, but you used more potatoes. Can you explain more to me? Thank you. Yes, and here's the thing, guys. The Jadam book has to give like a formula so that you can begin to use it. And it's great, and it works. And that's how I got started in 2016. It was as soon as all this knowledge came out, we were using it. 2016, 17 maybe, I think. And so for a long time, I really stressed about getting the exact to the gram, the proportions based upon the exact sort of liters of water and all of that. And it was really wildly complicated. But then I began deviating from that over time and experimenting. And I found that it really doesn't matter that much. It doesn't make that much of a difference at all. Actually, 0 difference in terms of really anything. And so to simplify it for people, which is what my whole channel is about, simplifying and making these things accessible to people. I make it so that just a handful of potatoes and a handful of leaf mold is good. Because I've experimented with so many different ways that it just doesn't make a difference. So to keep it simple, that's why. But in the book, of course, he has to give out, measurements and all that kind of stuff. So yes, you can, yes. Okay. Sweeping Page says, Jadam is also geared for large scale and efficient use of ingredients. Exactly. That's what I wanted to say, was that, Jadam is more for like farmers, and we're more about like individuals growing their food supply. So for farmers who want to say, okay, I only have, what's the least amount of potatoes and sea salt and leaf mold that I can utilize in order to get the best results. And that's what they're about. Okay. But I found it just doesn't matter that much. Tushi G says, remember the phone thing? Yes, that's what I was talking about. It's the, yes, thank you. But it's the, maybe you stepped away for that part of the conversation, and it's a really good part. So look up the Food Compass by Tufts University, TUFTS University, and look that up and read it. And that will show you that we are being deliberately misled, and that corporations have purchased the government and the health recommendation. All that stuff has been bought. Okay, so we just have to go back to nature, to growing our own stuff, and trust in the body, and that's where it's at. Yeah. Are you still cleansing?
Yeah, I'm day 11. I'm coming off though.
She's day 11 of the master cleanse.
Yeah. The only reason I'm coming off is I got us a batch of the bad stuff. We got new maple syrup from the same supplier we've had, but I didn't check it. And note to self, if I buy grade B maple syrup, I need to check it first. Because I got halfway in and I've been white knuckling it on not very good maple syrup. It looks like iced tea. It's not dark. So I haven't been getting as much nutrition as I should have been getting. So I've not felt as vibrant and as great. And I've just been white knuckling it because I set my intention. So I'm not giving up no matter what. No matter what. So, but I am coming off today.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. So, and we're going to be making a whole new series on the Master Cleanse. We did some filming and stuff like that. So look out for those videos on my other channel, Nate Murray. It's all about there's a part of it about cleansing. Also check out my other channel, Travel Like a Viking. I just renamed it thanks to the suggestion of Jerry. But it totally makes sense. This is Garden Like a Viking. The other channel's Travel Like a Viking, where I kind of act out stories of my 10 years of world travel.
He's a really good actor.
Yeah.
As himself over and over and over.
I can play myself pretty well.
He can play himself in all different characters.
Yeah. So, and then guys, it's very possible that next week we won't be coming to you live. It'll be the only time that, I know.
Unless we can figure it out.
I know. Hopefully we can figure it out. We might figure it out. But we're going to be at the South Arkansas Turtle Refuge, alligator snapping turtle refuge, doing a thing where we're going to be moving all different kinds of these giant 100-pound alligator snapping turtles. We will be filming it mostly. Actually, that's what we're there for. Is because we're helping
cheer people on. Good job.
Yeah. She's there for moral support.
We're filming. You don't
And
film like this anymore.
No, I'm there to film. Right, we're filming.
We're filming now.
Yeah, with the big thing on the shoulder and stuff like that.
Lower the boom or whatever.
Well, guys, check out if you're interested at all in that. But check out my buddy. He's got a YouTube channel. It's called Rusty Reed, Reed, the Turtle Man. He's got a few videos and stuff. I'm helping him learn how to make videos and stuff. So it's good. It's really good.
There was a question about
devastated.
Spiking insulin.
Good for the turtles, though. Oh, it's super good for the turtles. Yeah. The whole reason we're going there is because these turtles are they're
overcrowded.
They're overcrowded. There's so many of them now that they are fighting with each other. And so the guy dug a whole new pond. We're going to drain this pond and move these big alligator snapping turtles into their new home so they won't be fighting over the breeding grounds. And then
We don't know. It's crazy.
I'm there to film him, Rusty, and stuff, and she's there to film me.
Yeah. Filming and everybody, the whole scene.
Okay, so was there a question? What was the company with this? But the company with the subpar, it's not really subpar though. Okay, it's actually really great. It just, this last batch was not the dark stuff.
For the cleanse, you've got to have the dark stuff. So then what I tried, based on his recommendation, which I'd forgotten, but you can get molasses and you can use molasses if you can stand it. But I couldn't.
Soft.
I know. Call me
Come
soft.
on.
I did it the first day, and I thought, you know what? On day 9, day 8, I can't remember what it was. I said, I can't. I said, there's no way. I can't be doing this. I was already like low energy.
Come on.
I know.
For real. That's why you never told me how. I was gonna say.
I didn't know.
You should be way, way more energized.
I'm all right.
Nate-
I replaced the flooring in my house during the cleanse, the whole thing. I did everything, so it's not like I didn't have any energy. But it wasn't like as vibrant. Usually, like I'm, really vibrant and elated and feel really good. But I was really white knuckling it because I just wanted to eat food the whole time, and that's never happened to me before. I'm usually just coasting and it's good and whatever. But I was like, just want to eat food.
The Val says my onions have brown tips too, maybe too dry. Hey Nate, what do you think? Now that can be either too dry or too wet. That they if the roots get too wet, the tips can turn brown. Okay, but that can happen. But they also just naturally turn a little bit brown. You can see it here, but they sort of naturally, the very tips will turn a little bit brown. That's okay because the indoor is not, we don't have all the ideal conditions of the outdoors. And so you're going to have things like that. But if it gets excessive, then you've got an issue with that. So let's see. This guy doesn't maraud other cultures. Disappointing. He just travels and experiences them. Ha! Yeah, that's true. Definitely just experiences them, learns from them, and carries them in my heart forever and ever. So, okay, my friends. Well, hopefully we'll see you next week, but there's a chance it won't be. But then after that, we'll pick right back up where we left off every Saturday at 12 noon. Goodbye.